One guess who? Who never ever start an argument? Who never show a bit of temperament? Who's never wrong but always right? Who'd never dream of starting a fight? Who's on your screen with the comic book scene? No one but Dan Shaheen.
You didn't hear any of that. Hey, welcome to the $1 Million Mailbox. I had my microphone turned off. I got no help today. I'm used to having my good pal, Larry Young, here, but I gave him way too late a notice for this and forgot to send him an invitation and everything else. So hopefully he's going to join us. It looks like I already lost the first couple of people that were even watching this thing because and then my audio set up. That's one of the key things about having somebody on the show with you, is to watch this thing. Anyway, thanks for watching. What I said before was, please, if you want to see your comics on the $1 Million Mailbox, send them here to the $1 Million Mailbox, P.O. Box, 1163 Arcata, California, 95518. I will take them. I will spread them out on the $1 Million Comics Cam, and me and or Larry will take a look at them and give you the God's honest truth. This is the part where I would normally go in here and talk to Larry, but I'm just... This is the part where I would normally be talking to Larry, but I don't think Larry can make it today. So I'm just going to vamp it a little bit. Maybe he'll show up. Maybe he won't. One of the things I want to point out is the all-new special effects and audio effects that we'll be working here on the $1 Million Mailbox. I worked hard to render this money myself. Using a thing called Blender, 3D program called Blender. In fact, I'm going to be posting a tutorial on how I have achieved this sort of falling effect, and you can reuse it and put comic books or money or whatever you want and make them fall big or small, fast or slow, whatever you want. Keep your eyes on that soon. I know you're not here for 3D tips, though. That's for sure. Oh, sorry. You're not here for the crazy transitions necessarily either. You're here to see some comics. You know, folks, it's been tough. Having a channel like this is it's truly a labor of love. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of effort. It doesn't get me a lot of financial payoff, despite what you may see. Despite all the money that you see, I'm not swimming in super chat money like other streamers. Not yet. Anyway, who knows? Maybe I will be someday. Maybe I won't. That's okay. What's important and what really means the most to me is the comics that people send me, right? I get comics sent to me from all over this great country and around the world, and I get a chance to share them with you. Comics that probably wouldn't have got my attention, and I'm guessing wouldn't have got most of your attention. So it's an honor and a privilege to me. I mean, dude, I go to my mailbox and inside it, I find packages filled with comics that I didn't pay for and I didn't ask for. Well, no, I did ask for it, but like I didn't order specifically. So it's just like having my own little like library that sort of shows up to me periodically. I've had a big stack for a long time. Today, I'm going to try to work through a few. Plus, I brought a couple of extra things just in case we want to look at, just in case we had some extra time. I had some other stuff that we could take a peek at. And let's get to the comics first and see what happens, shall we? And for that, you know where we go. We take it here inside the $1 Million Mailbox. I'm going to shrink myself down. Oh, that's got to stop. I'm going to shrink myself down. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Could it be true? Holy cow. Stop the presses, folks. And, you know him. He's the one who's fun. He's the captain of fun. He's number one in fun. He's Captain Fun, Larry Young. Hey, Larry.
Hey, Dan. Hey, everybody at the $1 Million Mailbox. Sorry, I was a bit late. We're getting ready for San Diego. And I I was charging up my watch and I didn't see what time it was. So good old Walker Young yells down and he's like, "Daddy, stop what you're doing. $1 million mailbox." I'm like, "Oh, God damn it. So sorry."
Oh, dude, mea culpa, because I forgot. I didn't send you the link. I didn't do any of the stuff that I
do, but I should know. Thursdays on the internet.
Worst part of this is, I started the first maybe 30 seconds to a minute of the show, and I forgot I had my microphone muted.
Oh, so we didn't do any of the sound testing or anything.
Well, just so I do, I hate when you hear the clicking sounds. You can I'm doing my best to fix this up. In fact, wait a minute. How about this new microphone action?
Look at you.
Whoop. Awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, that's the proper tool for the proper job. That's what we always say at our house.
Okay. So
what I miss? Stan Lee.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm just dove into the box. And I had a couple of other things that, I guess this was mailed to me. And this one I found in my local library, like one of those free libraries on the street kind of thing. And
oh, yeah. I love those. I drop astronauts in trouble every once in a while in the neighborhood.
Well, it's the Comics Kayfabe guys are doing a promotion they call Christmas in July, and they're encouraging people to put their comics in those things. So I'm going to fill up my neighborhood libraries with them.
Is that James Rugg running that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'll send him I'll take a picture of me putting my comics in. There's like in my neighborhood, walking distance in like a 6 blocks around my house. There's 3 of those cute little things. So, yeah, it's a cool way. Do people know what we're talking about? That California free library thing that people do?
Dude, I think so, because I've got like 5 or 6 in my little neighborhood.
Yeah,
so I feel like this is a thing that's everywhere. But people put them in front of their house. Sometimes they, around here, actually, they have ones that it's the same idea, but it's a food library.
Oh, that's cool.
People just fill it with food.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and ours, the thing I like about it is people like wildly make them unique to their own house. Like there's this one guy that a couple streets over that he has made. They're just like little furniture looking things you put on the sidewalk and fill it up with books that you don't need, and people will come walking by and go, "Hey, that physics textbook from 1963 looks stupid, but I always wondered about Danielle Steele." You know what I mean? So yeah, they're kind of fun. But he's made his to look like a storybook castle, so the little kids like it. And there's another guy that built his that makes it look like a 4-foot. In cities they have the fire alarm things that you can pull on the side of the street. It's like pull the switch and break glass. He has that, but the glass is a door that opens up that all the books are behind it.
How fun!
That's kind of cool.
I want to fill mine with like subversive literature. I've got that. I bought that CIA. Somebody published like a copy of the CIA Guide to Dirty Tricks or whatever.
Yeah. I've actually seen an anarchist cookbook in one, and it just makes me laugh because it's like, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. You don't want that falling in the wrong end.
World needs anarchy, Larry. We needs a little.
Oh, I could not agree more.
The leadership thing is not working.
That's why I come 4 minutes late to an appointment. It's anarchy.
Well, that was to bring it back to comics. That was one of the things I loved about V for Vendetta was when he points out very pointedly that anarchy doesn't mean no rules. It just means no leaders, right? And no rules is chaos. Anarchy is something different. And I think we could see
I agree. I remember in college very vividly some kid coming in with an anarchy A because he's all about skateboards, and the intro to philosophy professor just ripped him. Like, you need to know what anarchy really means. And I was like, wow, coming to college, learning stuff. Look at that.
Totally. All right. Oh, well, maybe I'll save this for the end if we have extra time. But I wanted to point out one little thing in this. In this guy. How do I do this? Yeah, one. In this guy, I just wanted to see if they mention Ditko, and so I opened it. Here is the Ditko page, and the Spider-Man story in this really starts when Stan came up with the idea, right?
Uh-oh. Indoctrinate them early, right?
Okay, he really thought about it. We see him. He's thinking, right? His finger's on his temple.
Yeah. And Jack Kirby had nothing to do with it.
Well, no, you're wrong. Because he originally wanted to ask Jack Kirby to draw the character, but decided that Jack's drawings were not right. Jack made Spider-Man look too heroic, too powerful. He was Peter Parker, a geeky teenager who was unsure of himself, got pushed around by Flash Thompson, blah, 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 blah. The shy boy would suddenly stick to walls and ceilings. Okay. But like, who was that shy boy? Dude, who was that early Peter Parker, if not Steve Ditko himself, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so to create this new superhero, Stan found an artistic partner in Steve Ditko. So to create it, Stan found an artistic partner. You could parse that a few different ways.
I admire, I mean, that's basically a kid's book. So I admire that they're being as nuanced as they are. George Washington never chopped down a cherry tree, but that's part of the lore, right? So I'm one of these people, like, give Stan the lore. Like, the people who really care know who Bob Beerborn is. And the people who don't care, the most you're ever going to get out of them, like, oh, isn't that nice? So I don't know. That's shit. I get being mad about this 30 years ago, but
yeah,
there's a kid's book introducing who Stan Lee is, the father of modern American comics. So
and you just do a shitty Ditko hand, though. That's terrible. I'm sorry.
I learned a cool thing about Ditko this week, that he actually spoke with those hand gestures. That I forget who I was reading. I think it was Mike Manley or somebody like that. Yeah, when he talked, he'd be like,
he's a hand talker like me.
So so he would just draw. He would draw those funky hands, because that's what he looked at when he was drawing hands. So I was like, that's just awesome. And then, a
guy is introverted and who is just drawing all the time, he must look at his hands a lot. Like, he sees his hands the most.
Well, most comic guys we know have a mirror next to their thing, so they can check expressions and feet and stuff like that. Yeah. So I just thought it was cool that something he just thought was how hands work is like this cool magical thing to the rest of the planet.
Well, one of our Million Dollar Mailbox thingies today really reminds me a lot of Ditko too, so it just sort of put me in this mode. There's another book I think I'll save. Maybe I'll save this one for the end. This is an old school book. Do you remember this book, Larry?
I totally do. I bought that at Hibbs's store. That had a distribution run. Jason Little is great. I love that book.
He's fantastic.
That's a super effective cover. Like, that's what I like about independent books that you were talking about earlier, just the independent stuff where you can do what you want. And that's really effective. It reminded me a lot of stuff that happened at the time. Like Bendis's Jinx was coming out then. Mm-hmm. And instead of 1, 2, 3, and 4, it was like Ace, King, Queen, Jack.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And it had like this sort of, there's a way to explain this that doesn't sound insulting, and I totally don't mean it this way, but sometimes the just garage band stuff, you're not going to mistake this for, an old money New York publishing firm's cover. You know what I mean? This is a guy who's just letting it hang out, and I really, as an audience member, I really, really respond to this kind of, like, this cover shouldn't work, and it does. You know what I mean? That's the way I should.
It's really good.
It's just there's so many calls for your attention with all the the signs, but then the signs are kind of telling a story. It tells the title, but that's kind of a Las Vegas thing. I mean, there's just all the stuff that somebody would complain about here. I would argue that it's strengths. You know what I mean?
I always say guys are underrated, but who's as underrated, honestly, as Jason Little?
I agree. Yeah,
with the chops with the amazing chops. Speaking of, so you would expect this, like I would see a book like this, and I would expect it that I'm going to open it up, and it's maybe going to be black and white on the inside, but no, it's not. It's so beautiful throughout. This entire thing is just a lovely, hard to find thing. Xeric grant funded, right? Remember the Xeric, Larry?
I do. Do the kids? I was just going to say, you want to fill in the kids on what that is?
Would you mind doing
Sure,
that?
sure. Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman were the guys that started Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they had all their, significant challenges getting stuff. I mean, it's part of the. Speaking of lore, they borrowed $3,000 from their uncle to do their first print run of the Turtles, and it blew up. And they just gave back to the community by taking some of that Turtles money and making a grant for comic book guys called the Xeric Grant. I'm not sure what that's named for. I'm sure it's something.
I don't know either.
It's probably graphic novel in ancient Latin,
I'll bet you it's there's something like that going on.
And lo, there came a time when Jesus of Nazareth came down and made his graphic novel with the Xeric money he employed.
In the lo, behold the Xerics, for they are.
So anyway, yeah. So that was a cool thing that I forget what it was, but I think it was significant. It was like $3,000 or something like that. I think that's in my head, that the money that their uncle gave them, they felt like that's what they were doing. And I think this is just Peter. I don't think this is Kevin. I think the Xeric grant was just Peter Laird.
I think that's right. And
well, yeah, I think anecdotally, just if you know anything, that's true, because Kevin Eastman got married to Julie Strain and bought a Batmobile, and it seems like Peter Laird was 10 years older, and it's like, you know what, maybe we should give the money to the kids.
Kevin Eastman also bought a Ferrari dealership.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, and when he bought Kitchen Sink and merged them to make Tundra, part of his payment to Dennis Kitchen was a Ferrari.
I saw that on Dan Shaheen's show. That was excellent. I loved Kevin's, when you brought that up, Dennis's look on his face when he was like, oh yeah, I got to tell this story again.
My favorite was the end when he's like,
great.
What am I going to do? Say no?
Right. You know what I think is awesome about your show? I talk to you all the time because we're pals, but every once in a while you'll be like, yeah, I don't know, I'm doing this for myself. I'm like, man, like, I'm telling you, you're a Lou Reed. Maybe the kids are just watching your show, but all the kids that are watching it fucking think you're great. So you keep up with that Dennis Kitchen stuff. You're doing the Lord's work over here with the. What was it officially called? Comic Time with Dan Shaheen or something? I forget.
Comic Book News with Dan Shaheen.
Comic Book News. Yeah.
I just that didn't last long.
No, it's organic. Right?
News, I have so many things besides comics to talk about with you too. It's great. I got a lot of stuff to talk about.
You have an eclectic bunch of friends, pal. If you're judged by the company you keep, that you're walking into heaven without a Stovacor. We should not be so politically motivated. You will get the Klingon afterlife, just like all of us. Because you're
get weird. I thank you, Larry. I'll get weird emails from dudes I would never think would have seen my show and and watched it. Like, I don't know.
I just feel bad because I should tell you. I should tell you I just assume you know that I'm watching your shit all the time. But because you're like, hey, let me tell you about this Dennis Kitchen thing. It's really funny when the smartphones started, everybody's checking their phones. And me and my buddies, when we would go drinking, we had this thing that everybody had to put their phones in the middle. And because somebody would tell a story and they'd be like, yeah, I saw that on Facebook or MySpace or whatever. And it kills conversations in real life. So we would put all our phones in the middle. And the first person who would like, I got to use my phone. It's like, great, you pay for everybody. And so sometimes, somebody would be like, oh, I'm waiting on an important call, so here's my credit card. And then that's a good day. Because we already knew that you were paying, so all drinks are doubles now. And I'm feeling kind of hungry. Anyway, that's how I feel about your show, right? It's like a lot of people they're watching what you're doing and consuming the entertainment. Maybe it's not coming back to you that they are, but they are. I love it.
Well, well, hey, would a super chat hurt now and again? You know what I'm saying, Larry? A little. How about that? I don't know. No, to tell you the truth, super chats, viewers, whatever. To me, what tells me that people are watching is I go to my mailbox and there's a big stack full of like comics people sent me and like letters, and they genuinely like watch it and appreciate it. And I love that. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you.
I bet when I send you, I'll send you a couple books, and then I'll just like hide 20s in it to make sure you read it.
This become a bit mushy, so let's get back to the graphics.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody loves Dan. Next,
because this is a grim and grizzled crime drama. Spoiler alert, guys! But we've got the characters with the playing card dress, obviously as a kind of a trope, or not a trope, but just like a gimmick. But it wouldn't work if this weren't a good story unto itself, and it's just a really great kind of Las Vegas crime caper. Jack is a card counter who's also a drinker, and he hooks up with Queenie, and they meet the king, Rex the king, right? Who's running the show in Las Vegas. And soon enough, Rex is tricking out Queenie, and Jack's got a plan to take care of business. So I this is the synthesis of just a great idea, incredible execution, and then just rock solid storytelling. It all comes together. This is as good as a comic can get to me. It's a single issue thing, so that's wonderful. And it's just a beautiful object.
Right? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the packaging is just fantastic.
Including this backup 3D photo funny. Like if you view this in a stereo optic viewer, it's literally the same thing, but it's just a 3D. Little has really got into this 3D comics thing. And that's the character B, who becomes part of his Shutterbug Follies comic that you can read later. His stuff is just amazing.
I love that you can read those 3D things without glasses if you've tricked your eyes. How it's this cool crossing. It's the thing with the sailboat thing in the 90s, the weird pattern posters.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You cross your eyes and you see the image in the middle between the two out of focus things. So I love doing that. I have since I was a boy.
They just give me headaches.
Yeah.
This one you could just read it. You really just got to read this. The 3D part is not as important, I think. But the reason that I brought this out, besides I bought this recently, it's one of the few comics I was like, oh, I really miss having this comic. And I don't know, it's not reprinted. It probably might not ever be reprinted. I found like one copy of it in somebody's web store out there. I'm like,
oh yeah,
buy it. Yeah, we'll buy it and talk about it. You won't find it on mycomicshop.com, where you'll find, an assortment of comics. You'll find all kinds of great comics on that.
Who's that kid that's doing the reprinting good stuff? We should turn him on to that book. There's some kid he's doing like Aztec Ace.
No, I don't know about that. Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
Aztec Ace has just got a $75 hardcover. He's pulling through some cool stuff. I guess I know about it because he asked me questions. Hey, did you reprint this? Anyway, he needs to reprint that Jason Little book. That's great.
Well, one of the reasons I brought it on too is because today's comics kind of remind me of that, in that they're kind of like cool, fun objects just to hold, that you see them and you're like, I kind of just want that thing. Like, it's cool. So let's see. I got letters. I got a letter and stickers. And I'm a sucker for stickers, right?
Those are cool.
Yeah, they're not bad at all. But they're wonderful. I love those marshmallow guys getting burnt.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Agony. I love it. Okay.
What's that book on the left? What's the title say? Babies on a Plane?
It's Babies on a Plane.
Yeah, Babies on a Plane. I love that cover. And then Silver Fox Golden Ops. I like that it's what do you call that? That needlework stuff, needlepoint that grandmas do, but there's skulls everywhere. I love that. That's
thematically perfect for the book, as you'll find out. They're both a similar kind of thin square bound with a nice matte cover, not overly glossy. You notice how good it looks.
Love that
on the $1 Million Mailbox, because whenever it's not glossy, whenever they're nice and matte, they look so good.
You know, I always think the matte stuff feels better in your hand when you're flipping through it too.
Absolutely.
There's just something about the glossy book that makes me. It doesn't bother me on floppies because you have to have something separate from the newsprint. But on graphic novels, it's just like, man, you know, come on, like spend a little money and make it matte. Matte with matte varnish, I love. I love that. Anyway.
Satiny, it's got a satiny feel.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So, and I got a nice letter. Finally, I got a letter. Hey Dan, found your YouTube channel through the Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside Seats Facebook channel.
Nice.
Hey guys, a lot of people watch this on there. And guys, which I appreciate, by the way, but if you have a chance to go over to YouTube and maybe subscribe to this channel, hit like or something like that, that would be awesome. Okay. The $1 Million Mailbox is my favorite part. And I just had to send you my first two comics, Babies on a Plane and Silver Fox Gold Knops. Babies was first, and I finished it in December 2021. Then Silver Fox was just finished early June 2022. I wrote, drew, colored, and laid out everything in both books. Only thing I didn't do was the variant art at the end of Babies by my buddy. He drew it and I colored it. I'd love to see my books reviewed by Larry and yourself, but if not, all good. Either way, I hope you enjoy them. Love the show. Sincerely, Anthony Bartolacci. And I don't want to put his phone number on the air, but I'll put his Instagram up at the end. I'll put it in the thing, the stuff below in YouTube. P.S. I threw in some stickers of some panicking marshmallows and a South Park, Jurassic Park design I made. I hope you like them. I don't like them. I love them.
I was gonna say, you love them.
This is the one for me right here. Anything with like, I love anthropomorphic food. I love milk and cheese, for instance. And I think maybe Anthony does too. And loves
milk, not milk comics. I like that. Boy, you know, milk and cheese is so good that I can just yell Merv Griffin at my kid and he will just start laughing. And he has no idea why, but I do.
Larry, I'm looking at my original Evan Dorkin pinup from 1993 of Milk and Cheese screaming Merv Griffin in color.
That's
I paid him $10.
Did you really? Oh, that was a good buy.
Okay, so he said Babies on a Plane was first. So what I'm just going to show through, I'm not going to go through every page of all of it, but what I'll just show you is a really fun cartoonist, like his fun cartooning style. I think you're made to draw funny comics, and you're doing a great job. The writing, some of the jokes land, some of them not so much.
You know, that's jokes. But if you're called Babies on a Plane and you're not landing jokes, I think that's still funny.
Yes. Well, but the thing is, the guy draws funny, and that's hard. Like, it's hard to draw funny.
It looks like that main character is Danny DeVito, the main guy in this bit that you were flipping through.
How about a boob chomp?
Boob chomp.
Love great sound effects. What he's really into is stuff that's super funny and super gruesome. Like, both of these books are about ultra violence in as funny a way as possible, but like not sparing on the blood and guts in any.
Who doesn't love that? I really like he kind of see that guy in the bottom right. That's the that guy. That's the Danny DeVito guy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I love his he seems like he's stolen the color palette from, not stolen, inspired by the color palette of the Garbage Patch Kids, whatever the hell that was called, Garbage Pail Kids. You know, a lot lot of that green and yellow you got to get when that whole baby barf thing that you're doing to make kids like it. The color palette does a lot of heavy lifting when you're trying to be gross. Let's put it that way. You know,
and when you're dealing with these kind of big primary color things, it's really easy to do it in a bad way. Like he's pulling off his coloring here by using really subtle gradients, maybe even hard to see on the comic book cam, but making it so that's not just a solid red. It's just there's a subtle gradient to it that works really well.
Yeah, if you hadn't told me, it looks like on my computer that's all, Dr. Martin's dies. So he's really using his computer in a way that evokes that old stuff. That's for sure.
So I'm going to say his style is evocative of, while I was reading, I was trying to think who Bill Plimpton.
Oh yeah. Yeah. From the brand Eck, right? Is that the guy?
Well, Bill Plimpton is is actually not a cartoonist. He's an animator. You know, the guy with the dudes, they blow up their heads.
Yeah. It's all like warts and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that who I'm thinking of?
Look up Plimptunes.
I am.
You'll recognize it automatically. And then maybe Bill Plimpton meets Jim Mahfood.
Oh, right. Plimpton.
And they got drunk.
Right.
They had a baby.
Plimpton's the animation guy. Okay, I know. Plimptunes.
So yeah,
and then who was the other guy? They got drunk and had a baby. Who else did you say?
Jim Mahfood.
Oh, Mahfood. Yeah.
Yeah, you know him.
Yeah, you want to hear something crazy? Mahfood did all the ancillary art for the Electric Girl pitch to Nickelodeon. You remember Electric Girl, the book that we did?
I remember the book.
It was our best-selling book because of licensing, right? It could barely crack 1,000 in the direct market, and it was like routinely selling like 10K to libraries and stuff. So they thought, oh, this will be a great idea for a cartoon, and they got Mahfood to do the art. And I love that guy's art, but like he's not the guy you think of for like cute little girl cartoon,
Yeah, that's not the right pick necessarily.
But yeah, you're right. It does look kind of like Plimpton Mahfood.
Yeah, that's my take on it. Anyway. And
if they had a baby, it sounds like the Supreme Court wouldn't let them have it though now. So
wouldn't let them not have it.
Right.
So great.
Right. There you go.
Awesome is that? What a great world we live in. We're not going to be denied the love.
So Anthony's safe with his book. I was going the other direction, but no. So that's got to be on his next book. Supreme Court approved.
I don't think I told you, Larry. In a quest for more YouTube subscribers, we're going to start leaning far right on this channel.
Oh yeah. Okay. I gotta find out who Evan is now then. You gotta read his Wikipedia page.
Ethan. We're in the right.
Ethan. See, I don't even know the guy's goddamn name. That's so funny.
We're in the right demographic. We've got the look, so we could very easily.
Oh yeah, old bald white guys with beards. Yeah,
it's perfect. I love this. Check this out. He shows his original layouts, which he did.
Yeah, man, I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
All the behind the scenes stuff. We're getting ready for San Diego, and I was just getting my kid hasn't read the Black Diamond floppies. And I was like, dude, I know you've read the story. Just read all this junk in the back. Like half of our book is like extra stuff. So, and it's all because I love this, like the layouts and thumbnails, little bits of the story that just didn't pan out. That's still good that kids can see. It's crazy. I gotta say, I love this guy's handwriting.
Totally.
It's a real trick for indie comics to be legible. Unless you're using Whiz Bang or Nate Bicos's free fonts, or you've sprung for Star King's real Comic Craft fonts. But this guy doesn't need to do that because that is kick-ass handwriting.
He just strikes the way he draws and stuff just reminds me of animation a lot. And Chris, our old pal Chris Sags, first saw Plimptunes during Spike and Mike's Sick and Twisted. Yeah, he would do the thing like guys poking each other in the face and stuff. Two like old dudes kind of like punching each other and like.
Yeah, I totally miss Spike and Mike.
Oh man,
That's where I first saw Bambi versus Godzilla and all that cool G.I. Joe stop motion animation.
And
Yeah,
now
that's
all the animation you want is like a click away.
that's all
So
online.
much.
That used to be a
There's so
thing,
much.
man. You had to plan to go see an animation festival.
Although, have you watched Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix?
No, I haven't. But I know of it, and that's totally my kind of thing. I just haven't got to it yet.
I'm gonna bring it up on Serious Star Trek this Friday for sure.
Ah, I'll catch one then. You know what? I've been watching this thing I'd never heard of called Dimension 404. And it was just something on Hulu I started clicking by, and the cast is insane. And it's basically 2017 Mark Hamill's version of Twilight Zone, except everything is like digitally related. Like there's some kind of cyberspace aspect to it, you know? And it's 6 episodes long. It's great. I've never heard of it.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, so I put it in the category of the Love and Death and Robots because at least I've heard of that, right? But yeah, I gotta check that out.
Well, they are pushing the edge of animation in it to the point of like not just like high realism, but or just ultra stylized, but things that meld those two and just do really weird. It's really, really cool. Speaking of melding, Larry,
yeah,
let's look at Silver Fox Golden Ops. Okay, this is another Anthony Bartolacci the third. Funny Jams. This is his latest one, and dedicated to my unborn son. I love you, and I hope this embarrasses the hell out of you when you're old enough to read it. Good stuff. Again, okay, high concept book. This is the Golden Girls meets what was oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking. What was that movie where they got all the action stars back together?
Oh, The Expendables?
The Expendables. So it's just like an over the top idea of these this squad of octogenarians, septuagenarians, whatever, old folks.
I love it.
They fight for the rights of old people, but they fight the silliest, most absurd thing. Like they're bringing down the early bird discount at the local restaurant, and then they fight it with extreme prejudice. So it's ultra violence in service of senior rights.
Did you ever watch The League?
No.
The football game thing? Yeah, it's pretty funny.
No.
It's full of comedians like Nick Kroll, and anyway, it's great. But there's a Canadian comedian on it named John LaJolie, who plays a character named Taco, and he's the comic relief. He does this song called "Just an Everyday Ordinary Normal Guy," and that's what this reminds me of. It's like in the style of like some hip hop song, but he's like, I go down to the grocery store and save 20%, motherfucker. and just an ordinary guy. So it sounds kind of like this, that it's the old people and they're kick-ass, but they're like, senior discount, right?
Well, but it's ultra violence. Like, so
I love this already. I love it. Give it to me. Give it to me right in my veins, Anthony. That's awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Brains are getting blown out with glee. Like the characters are gleeful and they play games of how long it'll take the person to die. Like they're as bloodthirsty as they could be as little old ladies.
As an old guy myself, I totally am into this. I've had enough of adolescent boy power fantasies, and I'm kind of sick of like all the girls getting in on it too. Now it's time for the old people. We need old people power fantasies.
It is happening here. So we get I like shots like this. I like diagrams and I like technical drawings and stuff. So we'll get things like the breakdown of their inner sanctum. I like to think it's a nod of the head to Elliot R. Brown and his like Peter Parker.
Yeah, absolutely. The cutaways and the blueprints and stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he would do things. He was telling me he would do like Peter Parker's apartment, and then he would get calls from the role-playing game companies. Those were the guys that loved him because his stuff was
right. It's right there. Yeah.
And they would like, how many square feet was it from here to here? And they would just like, because he had and he's like, I'm just making this stuff up, right, guys?
Yeah, but he must have loved those phone conversations because he's just making it up. But that's work, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Getting a phone call is somebody saying we enjoyed your work, and we're taking that as seriously as you are. So,
I mean, go look at his blueprints for Matt Murdock's Brownstone. And it's like,
yeah. I mean, Marvel has to have collected all that, right?
No.
Dude, there's totally a market for all the blueprints of the Marvel universe that guy did. The cutaways of like people living in like missile silos and stuff. Like I used to eat that stuff up.
It's the greatest. He's one of my all-time favorites, and I still think it's one of the things that his work alone just grounded everything in more realism in the Marvel.
Yeah, 100%. You're like, he figured out how stuff worked. I mean, I'm sure it helped the illustrators too. Like I'm sure there were really dirty Xeroxes of those things getting FedExed around, just so people knew like what like you said, what Matt Murdock's apartment looked like, or the grocery store that Shield was in, or whatever.
Dude, the perfect perspective drawing of the Baxter Building that he did, he considers that his masterpiece, right? And he had to build a special oversized drawing board and build really long to get the perspective lines right. On that,
did he really? That's crazy.
Yeah, he built, because it was all pre-digital, of course, and he had to build his own drawing rigs and stuff.
That's great. I love that guy. Well, his work. I'm sure he's a
he's a guy. He's a great guy. Check out the interviews. Check out the ERB interviews. Such a fun guy. And he drew all those and wrote the Punisher Armory.
I totally remember that. Yeah.
Right, which might never be reprinted because guns. Yeah. I'll just say that, just because of guns.
Well, plus the Punisher being a bad guy now in real life. You see that thing from Texas? I couldn't believe that. Although, if
Punisher logo on his lock screen
as his save screen, I was like, oh, come on, man. But you know
what's the chilling effect of that? What's sad is I used to be so proud to go walk around town with a Punisher shirt on, and now I think twice now about it for sure.
It looks like the comic book secret handshake, right? I used to love that too, but as soon as that started happening, I swapped over to the Newberry Comics logo and the Captain Harlock skull. That does the same thing. Okay. So you need to know now. Like everybody knows the Punisher, you just move over to the thing where it's more obscure to everybody.
They can have my old school Punisher t-shirt, Larry, when they claw it from my cold, dead hands. Okay, that's how it's gonna work. That's how this is shaking.
I feel that way about my old Matt Wagner Grendel shirt. Like, this doesn't fit anymore, but Matt Wagner's doesn't fit him anymore either.
Just like Kevin Matchstick, you have to have a supply of them, right?
Right, a magic supply.
Okay, now here's where we get into. I told you one of the books reminded me of Steve Ditko that we were going to look at today. It wasn't Babies on a Plane, and it wasn't Silver Fox, although I will recommend everybody go check out the work of Anthony Bartolacci III, Anthony T. Bartolacci III. And all
here's some. The T stands for Tiberius. People don't really know that.
Nice. That's a little known fact. Okay, this book less than the one thing I really love that I forgot to point out is there's a shot in here where he makes a reference to his own comic where I can't find it right now, but where one of the characters has Babies on a Plane as a poster in his office. I like that kind of self-reference.
Can you wait before you get rid of that? Can you just throw up the Silver Fox one more time? Just flip it to anything in the middle.
Sure.
Yeah, see the border of the page? It's like this cool gray color. That's 100% color because as you see, the paper is white.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
We did that on Last of the Independents, and that totally makes the balloons pop because they're white. And
Yes.
you wouldn't believe, everybody's like, when we did that, everybody was like, how did you get white ink?
It is a cool trick.
It's a really super subtle thing that unless you are aware of how printing works, you might not even give it a second thought.
Right, because that's the paper.
But I love when people do that. It really, for some weird ass reason, it reads to the audience as higher production value. And even if you don't know anything about printing, I mean, it kind of is, right? Your ink coverage is higher than if you just printed on white paper. But it's not a break the bank thing, right? But it makes it look like
I like it.
You're doing some kind of secret trick nobody else does. So one thing you missed, how much is that? What's your book cost on that?
Well, I'm glad you asked because I have no idea. That was my that's my only complaint.
Anthony. Well, you know.
But there's something to be said for that, especially if your plan is to sell this at a convention or something.
Right. No, I totally get why you would do that. But he's got UPC symbols, right?
It does have an ISBN.
So somebody's scanning that in somewhere. So there's a
so I could set a price. I could associate a price with it, whatever I want. You know.
You want to know a cool trick? Look at the UPC symbol. Like, let's look at the one that says the crew, right? Yeah. See the one that your finger's on, the smaller one? Yeah. There should be numbers at the top. What are the last 4 letters?
Yeah. So here.
Is it like 0395 or something like that?
No, I looked for these. I know these tricks.
You know the tricks? Right? Is that on the big? Sure. It might be on the big one.
So I can't. Wait a minute. So it says. So it's usually this is the ISBN number, and this is what they call the supplemental, right? Where you can put whatever you want. They could put whatever they want, and they could put something analogous to the price. They could put a volume number or stock number or nothing at all.
Right.
In this case, they put 90,000. So maybe it's a $9 book.
A $9 book? I don't know. How thick is that?
Not thick. These days, that wouldn't surprise me as the cover price.
It might. I don't know. It might be. I just looked at a book that I had, and it's also $9 at the end. So, but I'm pretty sure that's not the price.
That's not what it is. 9,000 means something else.
Right. It might mean something different. What are the last couple numbers on the big one?
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. What I think that might be is for like a category code that they use maybe in libraries. I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe somebody out there in internet land knows.
We always did. I don't know if you can see that.
Wait a minute. Wait, let me zoom you.
But on the small one, you can't really read it. On the small one, we have 51495. And so we use the 5 to indicate the $sign, and then it was $14.95. So
makes sense.
Even if something happened, like a retailer would still know. That comes also. I brought up Last of the Independents with the color hold stuff. We did the same thing. We put the price on the slipcase and forgot to put it on the inner book, knowing that I was thinking so much about the retailer displaying it in a 7-day window that I forgot about the rest of time. So, of course, the slipcase is going to get destroyed, and then it doesn't say the number on it. And so everybody was like, well, you lucked out because your UPC symbol has the price on it. And I'm like, yeah, I did that on purpose. No.
Well, that was
just a little trick we did.
That was my biggest critique, and I'm glad you brought it up. But that's our biggest knock. In fact, we didn't mention the lettering at all, except you said you liked his handwriting and the lettering. So it's like, that's a good sign. We shouldn't be noticing the lettering and calling out the lettering for its badness.
I mean, I do because I'm an old man and I like letter forms and I'm really down with fonts and stuff. But that all came from like, John Workman and Clem Robbins, who lettered with a pen and an Ames lettering guide, right? So I really have a fondness for handwritten lettering, and that guy's nailed it. His
Well, and what I meant to say was though, but if you're not noticing like those things, our eyes are so highly attuned to reading text that bad mistakes in typography leap out at even the novice, even if they don't know what it is that's bothering them, they just go, this doesn't look like a professional comic to me. Like there's something weird about this.
That's a great point.
And what I'm trying to say is this guy didn't do that. It looks great. We loved it. Thank you, Anthony.
And stickers. Come on. That's great.
Stickers, a nice letter. You're getting top, all
his parents raised him well. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Brought up correctly. Okay. Now, one of the weirder and wilder things I've gotten recently, our last one for the day. It's hard to even explain what this is. Okay. There's two formats. I got a book and it came with two things. It came with 2 comic books and 2 tabloid sized newspaper comics. Ooh, it all fits on the $1 Million Comics cam too. That's great. So this is a fold out tabloid size with these bizarre strips of these really weird Alaskan superheroes. Okay. So there's apparently a lot of them in Alaska. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of maybe Steve Ditko meets Northern Exposure. Because there's sort of a lot of like, there's even
I'm listening.
There's even like a talk show radio host named Joyce James. And this series of strips, they're just sort of strips that are meant to be read sort of one at a time and contemplated. I think there's no doubt in my mind this guy is Ditko.
Yeah, that's a little question-y there, right?
Mr. A question.
Mr. A.
Yeah, you name it. It's definitely there. And the whole look of this thing just reminds me of that. He created all these different kind of wild superheroes that have a lot of, some of them kind of native Alaskan tribe, Native American, whatever tinge to them, but not super explicitly. And Osora definitely has the vibe of the working class hero, a la your friend and mine, this Flaming Carrot and the Mystery Men.
Oh, no kidding. I loved Flaming Carrot.
It's got that. And you love Mystery Men too, right?
No, of course. But I mean, they came from Flaming Carrot, right?
Yeah, but and you were a fan of that movie in particular too.
Oh, I love the movie. Yeah, no, I just that movie exists as a joy.
How could there not have been a Flaming Carrot just mentioned? At least there should have been a reference to the.
Oh, I'm sure that it's a rights issue, right? Somebody's got the rights to Flaming Carrot, and
probably, like, yeah, he did.
We'll take everybody else.
Yeah, maybe.
Man, we just watched that movie again just because we do quite a bit in our house, and it stuns me that Dane Cook is in it and Doug Jones. That movie is just full. Eddie Izzard. It's full of people who are super famous now.
William H. Macy.
Well, sure, yeah, he's my favorite character, of course. But like just guys in the background, right? That show
Tom
up.
Waits. Tom Waits is in that movie.
Walker called it too from his voice because he's like, "What the heck am I in battle, Jitney?" And he's like, "Oh my god, that sounds like Tom Waits." I'm like, "That's Tom Waits, pal."
Dude, he's in what? He's Renfield in the Dracula movie.
Right. Coppola's Dracula. He's actually really good in that. The year that came out, he was walking around WonderCon, and it freaked me out. That was like
Tom Waits.
I didn't full on like lose it in front of him, but I was like, I walked by him and I did this double take, and he as we're walking by, he goes, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "You can see on my face, I recognize you," and he's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Hey man, Swordfish Trombone is my favorite album of all time." And he's like, "Is it?" And that was it. He just kept going. So cool. I talked to Tom Waits and it was awesome.
That's as cool as an interaction as you could ask for. I think.
I was fine with that. That was cool.
Totally.
Just that he saw me recognize him and he just went, "Oh yeah, like here's another one." That's one of my people walking by. I saw his face flip out.
I was gonna say most people at Comic-Con probably wouldn't recognize him, but then I go maybe a higher percentage of people at Comic-Con would compared to say walking through the mall. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I wouldn't have recognized him if we were getting burritos or something until he said something. Then he has a pretty distinctive voice. But just it was the double dose of we were at a con, so that's not unlikely to see celebrities. And that Dracula had just come out, so why wouldn't he be there, right? Oh yeah,
Okay, so-
Buster Scruggs. If you in our comments, our peerless loser pal.
yeah, what is that?
It was a Netflix comedy western that the Coen brothers did. I
Oh,
was gonna give it a
yeah.
miss. I was gonna give it a miss, but my father-in-law went, "No, this is the total junk that you like," and he was right. It was
Oh,
great.
I gotta check it out.
It was great.
Okay, so this is my favorite of all the strips in the tabloid stuff. This Philip K. Duck strip.
Already, I'm in the
It's just surreal. It's
Yeah.
downbeat. It's filled with superheroes, but it's like if Harvey Picard was writing this a superhero story, you know, like. Okay, so these are free, and I'll give you guys the
What?
address.
That's great.
You can send away for these, and he will give you these. Okay.
Oh man, I got $20 that I need a stack to leave around for people.
And
that's great. Just the whole like, what is the frequency, Kenneth, on the end of Philip K. Duck? I'm like, oh, I know 10 people who want this.
okay, and he spun out a couple of the characters from the. He lives in Alaska, by the way, Homer, Alaska. This is Brian Payne, and he put out some just wonderful. These remind me again of the Steve Ditko 75-page package stuff. You remember those?
I totally do. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah.
Red Mosquito.
This is such a great name for a Mexican villain.
The Sin Nombre.
Sin Nombre means no name.
Oh, no name.
No name. It's a great name, but it sounds so sinister.
It does.
It's great. I love it. So every time I read it, it's just Flaming Carrot is what comes into my head. I have no idea if he's read Flaming Carrot or not. It's not as explicitly absurd as Flaming Carrot. It's a lot more low key, not trying to go for laughs as much.
Bob Burns a pretty surreal cat, so
yeah,
you can kind of see where that comes from.
But really cool characters, interesting characters like that Sin Nombre, like this guy, the Plague Doctor. He actually, in the back, is Plague Doctor.
I just love the thought of some guy up in Alaska going like, it's been night for 20 hours. I'm gonna just start making comic books. Get out of my way, because this stuff it's intense. I really like it. Just the backwards R in Red Mosquito, like, oh, that just puts such a taste on your tongue, right? Like, what's that Russian guy doing with the insect toy that I bought my kid at the zoo? Like, I know exactly what he used for reference there. You know what I mean? So, like, that's a guy up in the middle of Alaska, like, trying to entertain himself, and
I love it.
Yeah,
but he does these little backup. Let me see if this one had it too. No, it was mostly this one. Yeah, the Midnight Agents. And this is like his Avengers book, I guess. I really love this Plague Doctor. Oh, and here's a self-portrait, okay?
Oh, wait. That's cool. Love that that POW on the t-shirt.
I think it's great.
One of Starkey's first releases that he did that wasn't a font was just a whole bunch of like special effects already done like that as EPS files you could just drop into your stuff.
I love this. He's like, we'll do it.
Can't tell. He hand wrote this too. This guy wrote his lettering, didn't he?
We'll do it together, one page at a time. Please stick around. I will stick around, dude. This is cool
man.
stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Because if this had just been like, Canadian Alpha Flight, and like I got my, which it easily was kind of what I was almost expecting it to be, like a corny by the numbers kind of superhero thing, I would have very little interest in it. Like I'd review it and I'd probably say okay things about it, but I'm reading this and I'm going, this is a sublime work in a beautiful object.
This is what people should do though. Like, I'm sure he's aware of Alpha Flight. So you just go, yeah, I might be inspired by that. That might have been my favorite comic. I personally think that's the best 12 issues in a row of any Marvel book ever. It was the first 12 Alpha Flights. But that's just because it hit me just right then, right? But we already have Alpha Flight. There's no reason to do your version of Alpha Flight, right?
Yes.
Do your cool shit. I love
It's
it.
nothing like Alpha Flight, by the way. I'm not trying to say
No, I get what you're saying. The whole Canadian, Alaskan sort of
it could have
snowy,
been just a generic thing.
It's like, oh, there's Eskimos with magic powers and shit. I totally get it. But that's why this is brilliant, right? Oh no, we need a Mexican wrestler up in Alaska with no name. Like, give me that all day long. What's this guy's name again? You said Bryce or Brian or something.
And this radio talk show host who's sort of throughout the whole thing, Brian Payne.
Nice job, Brian.
Alaska. Yeah, dude, big time. I'm pretty sure some kind of photo references he's using. It looks like, maybe not, but I love it.
Yeah, I don't have the ding against that. Everybody else does. Do you want it to look like a car? Okay, here's a picture of a car, and I'm gonna draw it. I'm fine with that. And like, these might be his friends, right? So just take some photo reference of a buddy of his talking on the phone, or you know what I mean? Like, that happens. That happens a lot.
If Alex Raymond and Neil Adams are going to use photo reference, I'm going to say, okay,
exactly. I don't have a problem with photo reference at all.
It's totally okay. Who else? Rick Veitch. Everything he does is photo reference. He is a maniac about it, and it makes for great comics.
The one bit I have is when somebody throws a magazine ad that everyone has seen into a light box and then just draws over it. Like, I can do that, and I'm not an artist, right? I can do that, and it will come out looking great. But throwing up pictures of your friend on a light box and throwing your own shit. I mean, look at the inking there. He's not tracing every single thing there.
No.
So I don't have a problem. Hey, there's the car photo reference I was talking about. I could have said horse. Cars and horses are the ones. I go ahead. Do what you want. Those are hard things to draw.
This is great because the character, he sort of has this, like, he has this cosmic adventure and he flies and fights, but that's all kind of off camera. And then he's like, I don't really remember everything that happened. And he just remembers little snippets of it.
What's with the alien? That's awesome. I love the, like.
Yeah, well, he thought they were aliens, but they're not aliens. In fact, they came from the hidden inner Earth, which is another Neil Adams. Favorite.
I love that pose that you pointed at where he's thinking. It's so clearly like a human pose of introspection, but with a giant eyeballs. That's great. I love all that stuff. Saber Wolf.
The Saber Wolf is great.
This is awesome.
When he comes with a wooden dowel, right? And he comes to the Red Mosquito, and like they're gonna fight. And so they do some kind of like traditional native stick wrestling with the thing. It's just odd, but it feels so appropriate.
Man. I love the indie hero generation, character generation thing of just two words that sounds like, a military operation. Like Mystical Castle, Saber Wolf, Snickers Orange. It's like, tell me the story of that guy. Like, where did that, random collection of titles come up?
How did Rob Liefeld make one of the most popular X characters ever named Cable? Like, that one always blew my mind as like.
I mean, because that's a good character. That's the Empty Vessel name, right? The name is just so meaningless that it becomes to mean something because of your talent, right? Like Zima. That's the one I love. Zima. What the fuck is Zima? No, but the second you hear it, everybody goes, oh yeah, remember that night that Stephanie made me drink that junk and I threw up all over the bathroom? I just sent her flowers and she got mad at me because that was the first time she got flowers. You know what I mean? Like, you have an Empty Vessel name and you can just riff forever on that. So right on, Saber Wolf with a wooden dowel.
And the whole idea was Red Mosquito is like, look, I got a dart gun here that I could kill you in a second with. So instead of like having ultraviolence, let's do this in an old fashioned way, I guess. And
He's got to be Russian, right? Because otherwise, why is the R backwards?
I don't know.
All right. I still like his mask.
We don't know. We don't know that because he wouldn't reveal. He lives in a town called Hamlet, which has all these superheroes in it. Tons of Shakespeare quotes throughout.
The bustling Hamlet of Hamlet.
Of Hamlet.
Like, oh man.
Oh yeah, here's
this guy's genius. Oh,
right?
Little breakdown. That's his gun, right?
Another
the frontier yurt. Oh my god, Mimi would love this.
Complete with all the different types of bullets that are in the gun. So this is Elliot R. Brown again, and back-to-back ERB inspirations, I think.
Man, this is a very good episode of Million Dollar Mailbox. The stuff you got sent this week is excellent. I like this little tagline of turning ink into zinc for over 25 years.
Yes.
That's cool.
So this is a highly recommended set of books here. And again, there's the character name Joyce James, and there's the Ulysses stuff. There's a lot of literary references to Shakespeare and James Joyce. Brian Payne, thank you.
Alaska's still taking U.S. currency, right?
As far as I know.
Does he have a company name, or do we? Yeah, Zinc Comics, right?
Let me see if it's got a website or anything in here. People can go to.
I usually do that way ahead of time.
He's got an address.
Yeah, zinccomics.com.
$7,590 for the yurt. You can send. Maybe it reminds me of Dave Sim a little bit too. Anything.
Oh man, really? That's
black and white with realism.
I can see it. It's Dave without Gerhard, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, Larry,
I love it.
That's a good one. Do you have a little more time still?
Yeah, hell yeah, man. I just I feel like I owe it because I was a little late.
We'll dock we're docking your pay.
Docking by pay.
Don't worry. We'll prorating.
Yeah.
Your envelope. Because I had one more thing I want.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I'm here to talk more comics.
And this is not a comic, but it's a crowdfunding thing that just funded from a guy that I've looked at before, at some of his. I did a response to his claiming that the X-Men were not social justice warriors, or were not meant to be social justice warriors.
Wait, what? Oh my god! All right, let's fill me in on this, Chuckleberry. Go ahead, I'm ready.
Okay, all right. So this fella, known as Young Ripa. Okay, he's a libertarian. Oh, hey, wait a minute before we get into this.
Yeah, nice job, Brian. Man, that was a joy to look at that stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind of. I definitely need to find my Gerhard. He's out there somewhere, dude. Keep looking. I don't think you do, because I think you're.
I don't either. I was making a bad joke. Your stuff is great, man. That's
really. I mean, so far beyond what. I say this about every book that I get. I get at first blush, I go, what is this? I don't know. And then I read it and I go, man, you put a lot of care, effort, and thought into it without overwriting it. Great job, Brian. Great job.
I just like, you can tell both of those guys, Anthony's book and Brian's stuff, that they their personality is shining through with their talent, you know? Yeah. That so like you said, there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but it's more like thematic, right? Like, because Dave is my hero for a guy doing his own indie books, right? He just kept doing it for 27 years and didn't care what it did to his mental state. You know, and that's you gotta admire that. So
that's amazing. Guys, amazing talent. And getting better like you watch him getting better every month. To the point where he's
absolutely.
I don't know that there's a better living cartoonist just as far as skill. I don't know who I'm going to look at and just go like, it's hard to compare. But
I wouldn't argue that. I think you're absolutely right. Like if he's a comic artist, that lets a lot of things. But Dave's a cartoonist, and he would think that was the best compliment ever.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. So anyway, wait a minute. Let's take a look at.
I'm reading that Alex Raymond thing he did right now. Man, I can't explain that to anybody. And I can't recommend it, but it's brilliant.
Okay, I've got it, Larry. Let's talk about when you're ready. When you're ready.
All right. After San Diego, we'll jump into that one.
Yeah,
Okay?
when you're ready, let's do it. Because I've been trying to figure out an angle on it too. I cannot.
I know, huh? Maybe that's the angle, right? That this thing, everybody brings their anyway. Let's talk about that last thing.
Right? Speaking of angles, this guy, in my opinion, is a bit of an angle shooter. He's got his own thing going on. He's a libertarian YouTuber, very popular. Tons, I mean, so hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers, I think, at this point. But he's always complaining about the social justice agenda of comics, how Marvel Comics is ruined. I especially love, he went off recently on the She-Hulk series. The new She-Hulk series. There's a lot of people out there talking shit about the CGI and the animation of that, which I thought looked good. And then I just saw a great thing. The VFX guys on YouTube, the Corridor crew, they look at that and they
Corridor's great.
And they talk about why it's good and how good it is and how actually amazing it is, because that She-Hulk character, which I thought was a girl in makeup in some of those shots, is 100% computer animated.
Yeah.
So
I don't even listen to fanboys anymore about stuff like that, because they just straight up don't know what they're talking about. Like they all start freaking out when they watched the first Marvel trailer for She-Hulk on their phone this big, right?
Yeah.
So what are you looking at, man? Like, it's just supposed to be the She-Hulk, so just like accept that's the She-Hulk and move on. And I spent 1 second trying to explain to one of these guys, like, I don't know if you were born in 2008 when Iron Man came out, but when that trailer hit, that cool shot that you think is so amazing in the movie looked like shit, where he faces the tank and shoots the thing and walks away and it blows up. That looked like a cutscene from a video game from 1996, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, is that what we're in for?" And Marvel didn't respond. No, that's not what you're in for, because we had this contractual obligation to get a trailer out, and that really needs to be in the trailer. So fuck all of you. And they didn't say that, right? And they didn't say that to She-Hulk. And it's like, you guys are freaking out about something that they're just hitting for the advertising sales that they have to make for the show when it comes out, or however the freaking fuck streaming works now. I mean, part of it's like getting people excited. And so guess what you do when you go, "Oh my God, that sucks." There's like 100 people that go, "No, that looks fucking great," and sign up for Disney Plus, and they don't sign up for your YouTube show. You know what I mean? Not you, but these guys. It's like,
well, no, and they've been reaching out. Marvel has been they've been reaching out and trying to court more female fans. There's no doubt about it. They're explicitly trying to do it, and it's
did you see Ms. Marvel? That was great.
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet, but I hear only good things about it so far.
I'll just tell you, Walker's review, he did not care. He doesn't know anything about the character. I'm like, dude, sit down. You're going to like this. And he watched the first episode, and he was like, "I don't give a shit. This is like Girl Spider-Man." And then we just watched the end of it, and he goes, "This is the best show they ever had because this is Girl Spider-Man." You know what I mean? And they turned him around in 6 episodes. That's hard for a teenage boy. As both of us, as former teenage boys, you must remember, once you get into a thing, like, that's just how it is. No, there's only one Darren on Bewitched. There's not 2. I don't know what they're saying.
Well, from what I'm reading,
and so he ended up loving it.
They dropped in major new continuity stuff about what's coming on phase 4, and like, it's
the last 15 minutes of that show just is jaw dropping. I mean, you're gonna love it because the dad is like the best dad on television ever. Like, sorry, Bill Cosby, but even without your sexual troubles, this guy, at every step, he is a dad. There's no question. He's the authority in his family. But at every step, he tries to work stuff out with his older son and with her, the main character, and his wife. At every step, he's like, "I know I'm the head of this family, but part of the thing is that we have to remain a family." And so, like, as a dad, you're going to really get okay, I get this guy. It was my favorite character, honestly, but
That's cool. They need
dad.
Girl that they realize they've tapped out the male audience for superheroes. Like we're all in, the dudes are in.
Yeah.
And so like if they want to keep this thing going, and I think they've done an unprecedentedly amazing job of creating an interlinked thing of films and TV the way they've done.
Absolutely. It's not ever going to happen again because no one has the rights that they have to the 4,500 characters, you know. But that's what I meant about Walker is that he's in because it's Marvel, right? But he's like, I'm a teenage boy. I don't care about this teenage girl stuff. But it really wasn't a teenage girl stuff.
Right.
You know, it was like, this is what happens when you are connecting with the world in a different way than you thought you were gonna, you know, which in the history of mankind, who hasn't had that thought at one point? You know what I mean? So it's a very easy in to the point where he dismissed it because that's what they did with Spider-Man, right? And then it's like, no, the situations are compelling. The casting is perfect. The people that they get for ancillary characters that are in for like one scene across 6 episodes, they nail that scene they're in, you know? So, and everything that you could think of as a ding is actually a strength. Like there's a scene where they have there's a scene that takes place in the 1950s or the late 40s in India, and my kid's like, that's just the redressed Egypt set from Moon Knight. Well, no, it's not, because that was shot in different places. But B, that's cool because you're recognizing that even the set or settings is a character in a Marvel movie. You know what I mean? It adds so much. And that's what we were talking about the Star Wars prequels. Everything takes place in a green screen, so you kind of don't get that. The actors aren't selling that they are in a physical space because they're not.
Yeah.
And they're brilliant actors, but there's nothing you can do. You know, then you just turn into Ewan McGregor going zzz, 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 because that helps him, right? In this, not for a second was my disbelief. It was my suspension of disbelief was rewarded instead of made fun of, like sometimes.
That's awesome.
Stuff, you know what I mean?
Okay,
I'll buy these 2 or 3 things and take the ride, and that was a great ride. So.
Well, what I read was what's changed now with the use of the volume stuff instead of green screen is, but it's changed in a weird way in that it used to be they would just shoot it all and then do it all in post, and it's like now they have to do all that digital work up front before they can even shoot. So it's sort of just like changed the whole way productions are done.
Yeah. I actually, as an audience member who's the end user of entertainment, it really has improved everything. Not just from you put sand on the ground and have some actors and then throw up all that previs that you did that is now like broadcast quality for sand. And you can't, your brain just thinks that's all one thing. But for the actors, like the light reflecting off their faces and stuff that is all just intangible stuff that human beings just have evolved to recognize. Like, that's why the cool characters really start to work. Everybody's like, oh, that's Uncanny Valley. That's obviously CG, which is like speaking about your She-Hulk thing. Everybody's like, well, that's not what a 7-foot green muscle girl is going to look like. Come on, shut up. That's exactly what 7-foot green muscle girls look like.
Okay, well, Larry,
I don't know.
You say that we'll never get another like Marvel universe style, like expand, like we might never see it. I'm going to posit to you that if we do, there's a chance, and it could be this. Let's look at the Rippaverse. Okay, all right, we got to check out the Rippaverse because
right off the bat, to this guy,
right off the bat. Wait, let me get rid of it. I don't want to associate our brand. I don't want to get okay. So this is his crowdfunding universe of comics, right? A comic book company for comic book readers. And
nothing, no harm yet. It's a little dry.
No, not yet. The American comic book industry has its issues.
That's kind of clever too, right? Comics issues. I get it.
Sure, no one's done that before, but has its issues. But that doesn't mean there isn't market.
Yeah, that's just bad copy because that doesn't mean anything.
That
there isn't a market of what?
Well, isn't a market maybe makes sense, Larry.
But what he's saying, there isn't a market for the kind of thing that we're doing. But he's so close to it, he forgets that he's trying to sell something to people.
Yes. Well, but no, but he forgot the word, right? He forgot the word. He forgot to put the word because he says there isn't market. Not that there isn't a market, but there isn't market. So right away on your glory shot,
that's just
right away. Okay. And,
that's just somebody not looking closely.
Okay, but so a campaign like this, should we watch the I want to watch a
play it. Give him the hits. I want to see this. Rippaverse. Dum dum.
This is dramatic.
He fades his sound all the way out. Earth. Put them together into
This is loud. This is a 4-minute thing, so I'm not sure we'll watch it.
XVII issue number 1 is the first book released through Rippaverse Publishing, which makes it extremely significant. Though this is XVII's self-titled book, it also serves as a launching pad for our entire universe. This 96-pager was written by myself, Eric July. The pencil and ink work was done by the great Cliff Richards, and the color work was done by Gabe El-Taib, 2 comic book veterans. This book is part 1 of the ill-advised arc, and it follows Avery Silman, who lives right outside of Flores Park, Texas, the place where he was born and raised. Now, Avery is what is known as an XVII, which is what common folk in this area call special people. Years ago, shortly after he got his abilities, Avery decided to become a hero of sorts and adopted the moniker XVIII. But a certain event had him come to the realization that this life wasn't for him. So now he lives on his own ranch outside of the big city. One day, Avery gets a call from his sister Altona. She wants him to visit his old buddy because a family friend that interned at her company projects his...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, just no. Stop it.
Because we're getting into a beat by beat plot synopsis of issue 1, and I don't want to spoil it, frankly, for myself because it looks so compelling.
I don't know. I have opinions about stuff like this. I wish this guy all the luck in the world, but you should not do more than 45 seconds about something like that. But here's the thing: I have all the sympathy in the world for him because this is all this guy has lived outside of his regular world of having to go get groceries and take care of his family and stuff. This is all he's thought about for years, right? So when you get to sit down and somebody's making a video, you want to tell them, I had green socks on when I came up with this page, but nobody cares. They want to know what it's about. They don't care about your universe. You don't care about your philosophy. They care, is XVIII good? XVIII number 1 good? What's it about? Oh, it's about this guy who lives outside of a ranch in Texas. Like, no, stop. That doesn't matter. Anyway.
Larry.
Good luck.
They've got an ethic. So I want to talk about the ethic a little bit.
All right.
Okay. So this comic book company was not created at random. Our founder has been rooted in the culture of American comic books since he was a youngster. And being creative in the industry was always a dream of his, just like you said.
Yeah. Everybody else.
But the unfortunate state of the industry gave him the push that he needed to give it a shot. We've seen what works, and we've certainly seen what not to do. Rippaverse Comics is the product of a comic book guy that still believes the magic of the culture. With that being said, we are guided by a set of principles that remain the staple of this company. My favorite one though, I had to get the comprehensive.
Oh my God.
This is my favorite part. Because we value canon and continuity, it's important that you're able to follow the timeline of these as these characters grow. This will especially be helpful for those of you that become customers years after our founding. With that being said, we promise to try to keep reboots to a minimum. They're not going to reboot this soon.
Oh my God, man. This is awesome.
And if this means that a series is on its 100th issue or volume, so be it.
Yeah.
But this isn't a reason to feel overwhelmed. Not only will there be plenty of opportunities to purchase anthologies that combine key stories, there will also be an official chronological timeline that is constantly updated by our company. Not every story will be told in chronological order, so we'll always make it as easy as possible to keep up as the universe grows. So this is what we
Sagasag. You got to read Sagasag over the comments. Just what? That's my favorite. What?
I'm going to say it was a little muddled. I'm going to say this artwork is not terrible at all. This guy was at DC Comics. It's very Brian Hitch-ish inspired, I would think.
It's not bad, but it doesn't pull your eye, right? It's like it could be anybody. If you told me 5 guys, I'd be like, okay, who that is, right? My big problem with this is that this guy is like talking like he's been a company for 25 years.
Well, that's the thing. Wait a minute, I almost gave it away there.
Just don't even, man. Don't even. You're thinking about the wrong stuff when you're launching something no one's ever heard of.
Yes.
Anyway.
Well, but wait.
No, keep it going.
Let's see the support. How much support this campaign has got. Mind you, this is self-hosted. So he's not using Indiegogo or anything. So there's no way to know if these are real numbers or not. Let's see. His campaign goal was $100,000. This was launched 2 days ago, and they're at 1.5 million.
That's great. God bless them. I hope that's true. That's awesome. That means there's a marketing, a whole campaign and universe that no one's done yet.
And you can have issue 1, cover A, 96 pages, I think he said, full color of ISOM. It's only $35, Larry.
Yeah, God bless him. I hope it works.
I mean, you could get a Cerebus phone book for less than that, I think. And
back in the old days, my print bill experience is a little out of date, but a 96-page book shouldn't be more than $20. It's just what are you paying the extra $15 for just because it's got a different cover? I just never. If this is an unserved market, I'd be surprised. I think all the people who want different covers for stuff get what they want.
And already that we've got trading cards.
Yeah, that's great. I hope all that works for him.
The concept art book, Larry, this is right up your alley. This is the kind of stuff that you like. The official and original concept art.
Sure. Yeah. Is there a market for that?
Well, apparently, if these numbers are to be believed, I don't know that they're not either. I mean,
we have no information. I hope that's true. I hope that guy got $1 million for this stuff. That'd be awesome. Nice work. I'll wait for the movie.
In a way, it would be awesome because it just shows you that, like this and like our pal, the Cyber Frog, both over $1 million Kickstarters. That money is there to be tapped into by individual creators. But it seems to get these really big numbers, you got to have a kind of a high outrage factor going on.
Well, and plus, like Van Sciver is a real person that we have all heard of. So true. That he gets $1 million for some project of his is not shocking to me at all. He's got, and like somebody, Dr. Ben says in the comments, that his campaign hit 2 million. That's the reference to the fantasy guy who he funded some book in like 26 hours or something with $2 million. But that guy, has been a writer for 20 years and has a fan base that he ginned up waiting for this. So everybody had their credit card ready. So the second he told everybody this is going this day, and then it went, and you have press releases and news stuff about it, and that's great. I don't think, it seems unlikely that is going to happen for a guy no one's ever heard about self-funding his own campaign.
I think he's
what
selling
I know of how the
his
world
own
works.
market. I mean, I just think he's selling to his own market and to his own crew and everything else. And I think it's great. He could raise
$1 million to your own crew in a couple of days. I don't know. For somebody,
that's what he says. Guy's got hundreds of how many subscribers this guy has. Hang on a second.
I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Good luck. I hope that's great. I hope that the people that want it enjoy it. I just, in the old days, if you sold T-shirts, you made T-shirts and then sold them.
You know what? He's
Right?
got 408. He's got 480,000 subscribers.
That could happen.
And that campaign had, let's see, it says the number of backers. I like that this tells you the numbers anyway. 17,000 purchasers altogether.
But you don't know which one is which, right? But 17,000 at $35 a pop, that's not $2 million, is it? I don't know. I was told there'd be
no, but there's so many packages that you can buy.
That's what I mean. There's no way to figure out what's where. But if you have so many subscribers, at the very least, you're going to buy the first book, right? Even if all your subscribers buy the first book, I mean, that's.
I think that's cool. I think it'll be. I just can't wait to see. I just hope he holds true to his promise not to reboot even after issue 100. That's my worry, Larry.
Nothing about any of that copy made me pay attention because he's just worried about the wrong stuff. Like, okay, you're worried about what people are going to do 10 years from now. Good luck. It's when people used to pitch me, like, no, you have to make me see it right away. Like, well, I can't because this is the first part of a 12-ish volume series. And I'm like, no one cares about the 11 volumes if you don't sell the first one. And then 100% of the time, that's not what happened to George Lucas. Are you George Lucas? The reason George Lucas is because Star Wars crushed it. Are you going to crush me with that first thing? Okay, then we'll talk. But we'll talk about Volume 2 after Volume 1 is the best-selling thing ever. That's all. So this guy going, I don't know.
You've got a concept. You've got a vaguely defined hero. I know he lives in Texas, but I couldn't even get through the pitch.
He's a common rancher. Well, you can't get through the pitches because he's not pitching you, right? He's just telling you this rambling thing about what he's been thinking about for the last 5 years or whatever, right? The pitch is, ISOM #1 is this guy doing this thing, and this guy wants to stop him, and here's what's going to happen. And everybody's like, well, I don't want to ruin the end. Like, George Lucas didn't ruin the end. Yes, he did. In the crawl in the beginning, it basically says, and the good guys are going to win. Right? So, like, no, he told us the end. You need to tell the guy you're pitching what the end is. My favorite story about this is Kirkman back when he was a hillbilly instead of the front man of a $4 billion thing. Because now I imagine people pitching now are like, that's not Kirkman, right? Kirkman pitched his thing. No, but he pitched it to Valentino, who goes, I kind of get it, but what's the end? And he's like, well, I don't have an end. It's an ongoing series. Well, how'd they become zombies? And Kirkman told me, like, it doesn't matter how they became zombies. That's not the story. But he's not listening to it until he knows that I know. So he goes, oh, well, I didn't tell you the aliens come down and they've caused all this. And the end of the series is the aliens are going to come down and reveal they were behind it. And Valentino goes, great, because that's all that matters. You just want the green light, and then you tell the story you want. Like, that'll never happen in any of the Walking Deads. Although I secretly do that. Like, Walking Dead's a thing that's been going on for 50 years. And then Kirkman's dying of old age, and he goes, all right, here's the end, and it's just aliens. I would love that. But no, just because I know that story,
wakes
right?
up. It should be Rick wakes up and it's all a dream. That's what it has to just be that.
Okay, it's a dream that the aliens gave him. Like Inception.
Rick wakes up and he goes, oh, I shouldn't have had those enchiladas. Oh, well. Well, Larry,
Yeah.
We've gone way over our normal time today.
That's all right. Because we're having fun, and I hope everybody else is having fun with us.
That's the best reason.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we're gonna have fun again. We're gonna on Serious Star Trek. We'll be I gave you guff about your costume critiques on the last episode. I felt really bad about that, right?
No. There's nothing to feel bad about. But when I saw this, I was like, oh, I guess we're talking about shirts tomorrow. Now, what a picture. You have to tell me what that picture is from. Is that a real thing from eBay?
It's a real thing, yeah, and that's exactly.
Because can I tell you how awesome that picture is? Just on first glance. So the Star Trek uniform is just something you can buy anywhere. Those cards are from like Dave & Buster's. I have so many of those cards, I can't even tell you. The blue and orange phasers from Ruby's, the Halloween costume company.
Oh, you know it.
And this Mike Myers mask is in the collection because the original Mike Myers mask was a William Shatner mask they bought from Woolworth and painted white and teased the hair out, cut the eyes open, and went, here you go, there's your bad guy. And so that picture you chose is like the best thing ever. Nice work.
Well, I as soon as I saw it, it was definitely the mask.
Yeah. But that's why it's like the Beastie Boys keep putting sabotage. I mean, J.J. Abrams keeps putting sabotage into the soundtrack of their. First of all, it's really disconcerting that you are at the exact thing of Captain Picard behind you. No, so sabotage from the Beastie Boys shows up in all the Star Trek movies because there's this really famous thing where Shatner's doing ADR, the replacement dialogue, and he's saying sabotage like a Canadian. So he's like, Mr. Spock, the aliens are ready to sabotage the machine. And the director goes, great, Bill. That's great, but can you pull out the A on sabotage? It's sabotage. And he gets into an argument with the guy. He's like, that's not how I pronounce sabotage. I pronounce it sabotage. It's this funny thing to listen to. But man, once you know that, when you hear the Beastie Boys going, like, yeah, William Shatner is having a fight about saying sabotage incorrectly. So that's how I'm like that, full of stuff like that about the costumes. I'm like, well, this part is the yoke, and that's where the thread that they've used, a special marine thread that they used. It's like, why do I know this?
This is exactly why I didn't have to tell you to prepare.
Right. I'm ready. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to go.
So anyway, that's going to be fun. I hope that people check that thing out. And let me go. How about we go back to here again?
What do you want me to wear? I have pretty much all the Star Trek suits.
Oh, Larry, that's provocative question. Oh, wait a minute.
Who's in the Million Dollar Mailbox?
Oh, sorry. Well, I just want to thank everybody for checking us out. I also want to apologize to Larry because, again, the song always says.
I love that song, man. Don't change it. I love it.
No one but Dan Shaheen, but
no, I love it. That's how I know that I've been invited back. I feel like a vampire. I need to be invited in. I'm not. Although that Dave Sim one, man, I couldn't stay out of that one. I was watching that and I was like, dude, I'm gonna blow up your comment section. And you were like, oh, just put this idiot in here. He knows so much about Dave Sim.
Well, you've got Larry. You've got an open invitation, of course.
Yeah, God bless you.
But especially when Cerebus is involved, and I got to have an expert in here. So we'll bring you back soon, and we'll talk about that book you were talking about, that Dave Sim book. The Dave Sim book, yeah. Well, thanks to Brian, right? Brian and Anthony, that was some good books today. Great stuff. I want to thank everybody for watching. I also really want to thank. People who've signed up as a member of this show. If you're on YouTube, you can click the join button. And we just had Hollywood super producer. What was his name? Your buddy? Rick Austin. Yeah. Rick Headquarters Austin. Entertainment. He worked as a member. Yeah. And you could spend as little as $1.99 a month to support this program. It just gives me a warm feeling inside. I spend that money on candy and comic books. So thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you in the not too distant future. We're going to see you soon. We'll see you tomorrow with Larry. I'm going to be back next week, but then I think the following week, Larry, I'm going to have to skip out probably on Star Trek and everything because I'm going to be out of town. So we'll figure out arrangements. Yeah, if you want to run it without me, we can figure it out.
Well, yeah, I'll talk to you off air because we got that San Diego thing coming.
Oh, right.
So.
Okay, everybody. Well, thanks for watching the show. Keep sending in those comics. Hey, Larry, if the folks want to see their comics on this show, is there somewhere that maybe that they could send them to?
I think that, of course there is. They can send it to the $1 Million Mailbox at P.O. Box 1163, Arcata, California. Send it to Dan Shaheen. Put $5 in there. Right. Get some soup, Dan. You're looking a little.
Never hurt. It never hurt. Speaking of which, we just got a questionnaire from the U.S. Census, and it had a $5 bill inside of it.
Yeah.
Crispy new $5 bill.
I got that one too. The first one was $1, and then that's the one I got. And then if you answer their silly questions, they gave you $5, and I was just like, really? $5? I'll take it. Yeah.
Gotta figure it's probably worth it for them. If you do a cost benefits analysis, they're like, this is the simplest thing we do. Put one of these pieces of paper in there and we're going to get answers.
Yeah. I mean, about advertising, right? Like 1.5% response is like a home run.
Yes.
You throw $1 or $5 in, you bumped it up to like 6 or 8%. Like, which you can't do anything about people throwing it out, not even looking at it. But think about that. They're like literally throwing out money. I just think that's great.
Well, and it's not that much more than the price of the stamp. Really, it's like adding another 2 stamps onto the envelope or something.
That's added value in a nutshell right there. It's like, here's something we were going to do anyway, but now you care because there was $5 in it. I love that. Go government. I wish everybody did that. I'll read your thing about getting a Vanity Fair subscription if you give me $5 cash to put towards it. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Anyway.
Well, what got me here was that you can sign up, and there's multiple levels of membership, and you can get your name in the credits. You could even become a producer of this show if you're willing to fork over $100. And you can come in and just tell me what to say for an episode. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
So is that true? Because that's amazing. Because that's like movie theaters are saying, hey, if you want to watch Thor, you can rent out the thing for up to 100 of your friends for like $300. So if you get all your buddies to pay you, that's under a ticket, and you get the whole place to yourself. Man, old days, if this was going on, I'd give you $100 to produce a show.
You could probably make a little cash on the arbitrage on those seats too for the Thor tickets. You know what I mean? That's how
I'm trying to talk my local guys, and like, you can play Blu-rays, and I know that now you have a like a projection fee that you have to pay, because they do this for the movies they already have that they're showing. But what if you want to see Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston, right? Disney's not letting that out now because they own 20th Century Fox. So who's gonna know? We're not, you're not charging tickets. We're just buying the room. Like, if we want to do crack and hookers while we watch Planet of the Apes, that really shouldn't be anybody's business, right? So
Disney's putting the kibosh on Chuck Heston.
Yeah, they when they bought 20th Century Fox, they stopped doing the rentals for 20th Century Fox films. So they figured out what they exactly own and who's doing what. And I was really excited. I'm going to show my kid, let's watch the Planet of the Apes on the big screen like God intended. And they're like, no, can't do that.
Boo.
Yeah, it was very sad.
Boo. One of the all-time greats, man. We should talk about this.
I made him watch it on my 82-inch TV and sit really close to the screen. I made him popcorn and threw corn syrup on the floor.
Well,
it was exactly.
Larry, you got what you wanted, Tiger. Now, how does it taste?
How does it taste? That's the best line. Golden boy of the class of '72. I'm glad you threw that at me, man. We're getting old. People don't know quotes, or the obscure quotes from Planet of the Apes anymore.
Well, tune in to Serious Star Trek / Serious Sci-Fi on Fridays and get the inside scoop on all this. Larry, I got to get out of here. Thank you again, Captain.
Yeah, Dan, thanks for having me. It was a blast.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.